of the paper. 1 to 5, 4. I agree. I think it's level 4. And I choose the question that the score rate is less than 75%. I think it's time to get started, right? So let's just go to the first question. So basically, the question that we will talk about today is from number 20 to the last one, all of them. Okay, so I guess let's get started. Question number 20. In a fairground shooting gallery, each target I hit has a score, which is a positive integer. Okay, so let's mark this. It must be positive and also integer. And my 3 shots are all scored, and each of the 3 scores was an even number. Okay, you cannot have odd numbers, 3 even numbers. And my total score was 18. So how many different combination scores were there? And in this bracket, you see that 2 to 14 is considered the same as 2, 14, 2. So the order won't make sense. Okay, won't make sense. And guys, can anyone tell me, can we have 0 in this 3 scores? 0 is an even number. Can we guess 0? Yes or no? No, we don't have 0 because it says my 3 shots are all scored. So you don't have 0. And then that means the smallest number that you can have will be 2, right? And let's see, if you all start with 2, how many different combinations you have? You know, the total score was 18, right? And 18 minus 2, you got a 16. And you're gonna get all the combinations of 16, and that'll be 2 numbers, right? So we're gonna be that 2 numbers. You can start with 2, and 16 minus 2, you got 14, like that. And then you get larger. So 2 plus 2, you got 4. And for that 14, you have to take away 2 because the sum will be the same, right? So you got a 12. And then the next couple will be 6 and 10. And then the last one will be 8 and 8. So if you start with 2, actually you finish all the combinations which contains 2, right? And then you need to move on to the next even number, which is 4. If you start with 4, how many different combinations you have, guys? Can you type that in the chat box? If you start with 4, you have 4. Is that still 4 different combinations? You guys know it's not 4. It's not 4. Do you know why? Because you finish all the combinations contains 2. Yes, Rose, you want to answer this question?
Yes, because if you have a 4 and then if you write the 2, it will repeat the 1 from the beginning because it already has 2, 4, 12. So then if you write it again, then if you write 2 as the second number again, then the last number has to be 12. So then you'd be repeating and it doesn't count.
Yeah, that's right. So you cannot have a 2. Then you're going to go with 4. 4 and 4 gives you 8. And then the last number will be 10. So the next number will be 6 and then 8, right? So 4, 6, 8. But you don't have 4x6 because that's going to repeat with 4, 6, 8, right? So if you start with 4, you have only 2 different combinations, guys. And then you move on to 6. Guys, as for 6, how many different combinations you have? As for 6. Someone is not muted, just check is that you muted? You have to be muted. Yes, guys, you have only 1 because you don't have a 2. You have already finished all the combinations contains 2, right? And also combinations with 4. So you're gonna start with 6, and then 6, 6 is 12. 18 minus 12, get a 6. That's it. So if you start with 6, you have only 1 combination here. And now you need to count them all together. Let's see. It's gonna be 4 plus 2 plus 1. And in total, you have 7. So you have 7 different combinations as the answer. You guys type me 7 to me. So we can continue to the next question. All right. Okay, let's see the next one. Question number 21. Observe the following fractions. All the fractions are less than 1. Okay, you cannot have a fraction larger than 1. They are all less than 1, means the numerator should be smaller than the denominator, right? And the values of letters are multiples of 4. So for A, B, and C, can choose 4, 8, 12, 16, and guys, you don't have 20, right? Because that is two. Maybe you can have 20, but let's see. And you need to find appropriate values for the letters so that all the fractions are listed in ascending order. So the next number must be be larger than the previous one, right? So we're gonna start with A. How about this one? So as for this one, when you compare these two fractions, you need to convert them into the same denominator. So let's see 5 and 15, you need to convert them all into 15. And 5 times 3, you got 15, 2 times 3, you got 6. That means for A, it must be larger than 6. So you have 8, 12, 16. Can we have 16? No, you don't have 16, because if you do 16, then the numerator will be larger than the denominator. So let's see, is that 8 or 12? Which one is correct? 8 or 12? Which one is good? Yes, if you do 12, let's see, if you choose 12, is that possible that, yeah, 12 will be too big? Why is that too big? Guys, let's see. Because you're gonna list all the fractions in ascending order, right? If A equals to 12, that will be 12 over 15. And you simplify that, you got is that, so divide by 3, that will be 4 over 5, right? And this fraction over here should be smaller than this one, and also should be smaller than 13 over 20. But if you convert that into 20, so that will be 16 over 20. It's larger than 13 over 20. So that's why you don't have a 12 at this place. Then A must be 8. All right. So we got the first answer, A equals to 12. And then let's move on to B. As for B, you'll see that it's 7 over B. And what we know is that as for this 8 over 15 is larger than a half, because a half that will be 7.5 over 15, right? And 8 is larger than 7.5. So this one is larger than a half. So 7 over B must be larger than a half, right? So for B, you cannot have, of course, you don't have a 4, but you do have 8. Or you can choose 16. Sorry, I mean, you can choose 12. And you cannot choose 16 because that way 7 is smaller than the half of 16. And then guess which one is good? 8 and 12. Mina.
I think you got A wrong, because 12 over 15 and 6 over 15, I think 8 should be the correct one.
That's right. 8 it's not correct, because if you want to compare 7 over
no.
8 and 13 over 20,
As in,
basically this one is larger, right? Because if you convert that into 80, so this one will be 70 over 80, and that 13 over 20 you times by 4, that will be 52 over 80. And you see 7 over 8 will be larger. But we will see that we need to list them in ascending order. So B cannot be 8. Then B must be 12.
Well, what I mean is for the A, for answer A, it should be 8 instead of 12.
Oh, thank you very much. It should be 8. Yes.
Yeah, the answer also said it's 8, I think.
Yeah. I circle 8, but I write down 12. My bad. So this one is 8 and B equals to 12 actually. And as for C, you'll see that C is the easiest one to determine because it's the largest one. And if you do 8 and 12 and 16, they are all less than a half. So the only choice you can have will be 4 because 3/4 is larger than a half. Okay, guys, I think we can move on to the next one. Question number 22. Okay, guys, after the session, I will send you the notes and also the playback of this session, okay? And okay, for question number 22, I think we talked about this one in the first lesson of our autumn term, right? Do you guys remember? It's exactly the same thing. So you got Fred, you got George, you got Ronaldo, and they are siblings. And the combined weight of Fred, so let's use F. Oh, let's go back to the question. Let's see, I'm gonna use F to represent it. So G and R. And can you get an equation, guys? You see, if you combine the F and G, that is 54 larger than R. So for Ronaldo, you take away the weight of R, that will be 54. Does it make sense? Yep. Okay. And then you got 3 different conditions that's represent them in this similar equations. Okay. So for the second one is F plus R, and if you take away G, that gives you 66. So F plus R minus G, you got 66. And then the next one, G plus R is 49 greater than F. That means G plus R minus F equals to 49. And what do you want, guys? What do you want? So find the combined weight of F, G, and R means what is F plus G plus R, I guess. How can I do this? Stop chatting in the chat box, guys. I can set that you guys can only send the words to me. Okay. So guys, as for these equations, you don't need to find F, G, and R respectively, right? This is equation 1, 2, 3. And if you add them all together, you will find, let's see, if you add all the 3 equations, you got a plus R, you got a minus R, these 2 will be canceled out. And you got this positive F, and then you take away F, and these 2 will be canceled out. And also you got plus G, and this way you got a minus G, these 2 will be canceled out. If you add them all together on the left-hand side, what do you have? You only have F, G, and R, right? And that is what you want. So that equals to the sum of these 3 numbers. Okay, guys, can you tell me the answer? If you add these 3 numbers together, what you get? What is the combined weight of F, G, R? Yeah, so 54 plus 66 equals to 120. And then plus 49, you got 169. That's right. That's the answer. All right. Then let's move on to the next one. So for how many 3-digit positive numbers does the product of the digits equals to 24? What does that mean? That means you got a 3-digit A, B, C, right? And you times A times B times C together. Yes, Rose?
I was just gonna say there's another method to do question 22.
another method. Of course, you have so many different methods to do that. Is that easier than mine?
For me, it was easier.
So can you share with us what's your method?
So I just added all three equations together, and then it ended up as 2f plus 2g, and then plus 2r, and then if you add all the things that minus together, it would be 169, and then the result would, and then the answer of it, if you add all of them together, would be f, g, and r. So then you know that the answer is 169.
Okay, makes sense. That's good. That's a good method. I think it's the similar as mine. All right, so I guess now let's go back to question number 23. So if you got a 3-digit number ABC and you times all the digits together, you find that's 24. And the question is how many different combinations you have, right? Rick asked me, is that 21? Yes, it is 21. You have 21 different combinations. Let's see why it's 21, okay? So always gonna start with the smallest number 1. And that means another two numbers times together, you got 24, because 1 times 24 equals 24. Can we get 1, 1, and 24 like this? Yes or no? No, you don't have that, right? Because for 1 digit, the range is from 0 to 9. You don't have a 24 in 1 digit. Then what's going to be the number you have? You don't have a 2. 1, 2, 12. Nope. So actually, the first combination you have will be 1, 3, 8. 1 times 3 times 8 gives you 24. And then if you start with 1 again, that'll be 1, 4, 6, right? 1, 4, 6. And also you have 1, 6, 4. But actually, let's try to find all the different combinations first and then consider the different orders, okay? So if you've got a 1, you have only 2. That will be 1, 3, 8 and 1, 4, 6. Now you're going to start with 2. 24 divided by 2, you got a 12. And as for 12, you don't have 1 times 12. You have 2 times 6. And also for 12, you have 3 times by 4. 3. So that will be 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Okay. Do we have some more, guys? Different numbers. Do we have some more? If you start with 3, that will be 8 and 8. And if you do 2, 4, you have already got that 2, 3, 4. If you got say 8, that's the only thing you have. And 1, 8, right? And 1, 3, 8, you already get that. So if you start with 3, you will see that they are all repeating. And say if you got 4, that'll be 6, but you do have 1, 4, 6 and 2, 2, 2, 6, right? 2, 2, 6. So basically, guys, that's all the different, numbers you have, right? But now you need to consider the different orders. So as for 1, 3, 8, how many different orders do you have? You have how many different orders, guys? Do you still remember that? How do you get the numbers? Yes, that would be 6. And that is because you got 3 different numbers. So for the first digit, you have 3 choices. For the second one, you have 2 choices. For the last one, you have only 1 choice. So you times them together, you got 6 different ways. You aren't supposed to use 0, right? Of course, you cannot use 0, guys. If you use 0, you times the 3 digits together, it's 0. It's not 24. That's why you don't have a 0. Okay. So 1, 4, 6, that will be 3 different numbers. And the thing will be the same, 6 different ways. Still 3 times 2 times 1. And as for this one, 2, 3, 4, it's also 6 different ways. But this one is different because you got 2 same numbers, right? So as for the 3 digit, you can have a 6 as this place because 6 is a unique one, right? So, and then you can have 2, 6, 2. And last one will be 2, 2, 6. You just determine the position for 6, and another 2 will be determined at the same time because they are both 2. So as for this one, you have 3 different ways, right? And now I need to circle all the different ways and you just add them all together. That's the answer. So 6 ways, 6 ways, 6 ways, 3 ways. In total, there'll be 18 plus 3, which is 21 different ways. That's question number 23. Does it make sense, guys? Are we all good? Yep. Any questions? Nope. Then let's move on to the next one. Okay, so for this question, Pip has 2 identical long towels, 10 in length. So that'll be this 2. And 5 identical short towels. So this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will be all identical. And then he placed them together to form a square of edge 10 centimeters. He then colored 2 short towels to make the shape of his lucky number. So work out the total shaded area, I guess. We're gonna start with the smaller towel. We can set the length, or I mean the width as A, as letter A. How about that? So this is A, and you'll see that the length, yes, Xu He. Go ahead. What do you want to say?
The length for one rectangle is 12 centimeters because on the side it's a square, which means one side is 10 centimeters, and there's 5 rectangles going down, which means the width of one rectangle must be 2 centimeters.
Ah, yes, that's right. So if you set the width as A, then the length will be 3A because they are the same. And this is A, and this is A as well. So we see that 3A plus 2A's, that'll be 5A's. And 5A's equals to 10 centimeters. So A equals to 2. And now you know A equals to 2, you'll find this is 2. Let me change the color. This is 2. And the length of the smaller towel will be 2 times 3, which is 6. And now you can get the area, which is 12. 2 times 6 is 12. And this one is 12 as well. So you need to work out the total shaded area. That'll be 12 times by 2. So that's why it's 24. All right, guys. That's it for this one. And then let's see this question. So as for this one, it's kind of very easy to make a mistake as for this one. So as for question number 25, 4 years ago, it says 4 years ago, Abby was 5 times as old as Tom. So let's see, I can have this number axis for me to do the analysis. It says 4 years ago, and let's see, this is now. And 4 years ago, at this time, it's 4 years ago. And Abby was 5 times as old as Tom. So I'm gonna set Tom is X years old 4 years ago. And then how can I represent Abby? That will be 5X, right? Because it says 5 times. And then Abby will be twice as old as Tom in 2 years. And from now on, after 2 years, how can I represent the age of Abby, guys? This is -4, this is +2. So from 5X, you go 4 years and you go 2 years older, right? So that'll be 5X plus 6. That's right. And Tom will be 1X plus 6 as well, because after 6 years. And what's the relationship of these two numbers, guys? It tells you it's gonna be twice as old as Tom in 2 years. And you're gonna have this equation, 5X plus 6 equals to 2 times the age of Tom. And now you just solve the equation, you will get the answer. 5X plus 6 equals to 2X plus 12. And then 3X, right, equals to 12 minus 6, you got a 6. Then 12X equals to 2. And what does that mean? That means 4 years ago, Abby was 10 years old. Tom was 2 years old. And the question is asking you, what is the current age of Abby? So you have to use that 10 plus 4. Because 4 years ago, Abby is 10. Now Abby will be 14 years old. Guys, can you tap 1 in the chat box? Let me know you understand the question. Okay, very good. Very good. Let's move on to question number 26. So as for now, question number 26, you see that in the following sequence, any term except the first 2 terms is the mean of the previous 2 terms. And let's see. So that means for the first 2 numbers is 16 and 8, right? How do you get the mean? How do you get the average? 16 plus 8 equals 24. Divide by 2, you got 12. And then 8 plus 12 is 20. Divide by 2, you got 10. And also 12 plus 10 equals to, say 22. Divide by 2, you got 11. So that's the pattern here in this sequence, right? So let's take a look at question number 8. A sequence following the same rule starts with the number 16 and then minus 12. You need to work out the next one and then the next one. So what's going to be the next number is the average of 16 and minus 12, right? So 16 minus 12, you add these 2 numbers together, that will be 4. And 4 divided by 2, you got a 2. So that's the answer. And then what's the next? You need to find the average of these 2 numbers. So minus 12 plus 2 will be minus 10, and then divide by 2. Minus 10 divided by 2, we know that is minus 5. Okay. So another one, you got another sequence following the same rule, has A3. So this time you don't know the first number and the second number, but you do know that third one is 6 and the fourth one is 5. You need to work out the first 2 terms of the sequence. So basically, you're gonna go to the second term. If you want to get a second term, that means this number over here plus 6 divided by 2, you got a 5, right? So that means if you use 5 times by 2, that's going to be the sum of these 2 numbers, and that is 10. 5 times by 2, you got a 10. And what number plus 6, you got a 10? That'll be 4. So A2 is 4. This is what you get. And then you're going to go to this number. So how do you get 6? 6 will be the average of the first 2 numbers, right? So 6 times by 2, you get a 12. And what number plus 4, you got 12? That'll be 8. 8 plus 4, you got 12. Okay? So that's it. That's all for question number 26. Yeah. Okay, guys, let's take a look at the question number 27. It says the diagram below shows the number top, and the number in each rectangle is twice. So it's twice the sum. Twice the sum of the 2 rectangles below it. So which number should go into the shaded rectangle? Guys, to solve this one, I suggest to you to use the algebra to help you. You can set the number in this shaded part as letter A or X, whatever you like. And then you just finish this precise. So it says twice the sum of the 2 rectangles below it. Then what number goes to this place? That'll be 1 plus 0 and then times by 2. And that will be 2 in this place. And then you do 0 plus A, that'll be A, and times by 2, that'll be 2 times A. And also, if you're going to find this place, that'll be A plus 2, which is A plus 2. And then you times by 2, that'll be 2A plus, don't forget, you need to times 2 by 2 as well, which is 4. Is that, let's see, A plus 2 times by 2, yes, it's 2A plus 4. And then let's continue to get this place. It's going to be 2A plus, 2 plus 2A times by 2. So 2A times by 2, you got a 4A. And 2 times by 2, you get a 4. Okay. And now you need to add these 2 numbers together. times by 2 to get this one. So 2a plus 2a equals to 4a times by 2. That will be 8a's. And a plus this number 4 times by 2, which is 8. And now you can have the equation, the final equation, which is going to be 4a plus 4 in the bracket, right? Plus 8a plus 8. And then as for this whole thing, you times by 2 because it says twice the sum, and you got 192. That's what you get. So guys, 2 times this part is 192. You divide by 2 of 192, that'll be 96. And then 4a plus 8a, you got 12a. 4 plus 8, you got a 12. What's next? So you see, for the coefficient, you got a 12 and 12. You can divide by 12 from both sides. So that will be a plus 1 equals to 96 divided by 12, which equals to 8. 96 divided by 12, you get 8, right? And then a equals to 8 minus 1, you get a 7. That's it. So 7 will be the final answer to the question. Or you could do 96 minus 12 first. That will be 84. And then you use 84 divided by 12. It's also 7. Any questions you have, guys? Nope. Just be careful when you do the calculations, guys. Okay, question number 28. Also, we learned this one in our first lesson of autumn term. And let's see, there are 101 students accommodated in the rooms of a hotel. Each room has either 5 or 9 beds. Each student sleeps in one bed only, and that every bed is used. If these students used more than 13 rooms, find out how many rooms with 5 beds and how many rooms with 9 beds are there. Okay, for this one, you can set we have X of the 5 bedrooms. Okay, you can set we got X of this one, and we got a Y of the 9 bedrooms. So you can have this equation, which is 5x plus 9 times by Y equals to 101 students. Okay, but you do have one more limitation here, which is if these students use more than 13 rooms, that means X plus Y. If you get X and Y, you add them together, it should be larger than 13. It cannot be smaller or equal to 13. Okay. Now let's start. Let's try to solve this equation. You got 2 different unknowns, right? And the thing is that you can do the analysis first. We know that 5x will be end with 0 or 5, right? Does it make sense, guys? Because if x is an odd number, then 5 times that number will end with 5. If x is an even number, then 5 times that number must be end with 0. So far, so good. And why do we need to know that? That is because we need to know 9 times by Y should be end with what number? If 5x end with 0, so 101 minus something 0, it must be end with 1. And if 5x end with 5, that means 101 minus something 5, the last digit must be 6. So that means this 9 times by Y should be end is 1 or 6. Does it make sense, guys? Are we all good? And now you need to find 9 times what number gives you something 1 or something 6. So 9 times by 4 equals to 36. That gives you 6. And 9 times by 9 gives you 81. And that way you get a 1, right? So you will have 2 different solutions to this equation, right? If 9 equals to, if Y equals to 4, what do you get? If Y equals to 4, Then how many x do you have? That will be 5x plus 36 equals to 101, right? Then x equals to what number, guys? Can you tell me? So 101 minus 36 equals to 65. That's right. And 65 divided by 5, you got a 13. Yep. So that means as for one of the solution, x equals to 13 and y equals to 4. Will that work for the answer? Yes, because 13 plus 4 equals to 17, which is larger than 13. You see that? X plus y should be larger than 13. But what about another couple of solution? If y equals to 9, does that work? So 5x, this way gonna be 5x plus 81 equals to 101, right? And then x equals to 4. Yep. 101 minus 81 equals to 20. So 4 times 5 equals 20. And then for the second solution, x equals to 4 and y equals to 9. Does that work, guys? 4 plus 9 equals to 13. It equals to 13. It's not larger than 13. So you cannot use this one. That means that the only solution to the question will be x will be 13. That means you get 13 of 5 beds rooms, and then you got 9 rooms with 9 beds. Sorry, it's 4, not 9. Guys, questions? Any questions you have? Nope. Are good? Okay. Now let's move on to question number 29. Guys, in the short-term course, the first lesson, we learned this, the clock problems, right? If you got two 12-hour clocks, they are set to show the correct answer at the same time. And one clock loses 2 minutes in each hour, and the other clock gains 3 minutes in each hour. Question: after how many days will both the clock show the correct time? Any ideas, guys? Did anyone take that lesson? Lesson 1? Do you still remember how to solve such kind of question? Okay, guys, let me tell you. So let's focus on the first clock. It's gonna lose 2 minutes in each hour, right? So can anyone tell me? In one day, it's gonna lose how many minutes? In one day. It says every hour. Yes, Barb?
48 minutes.
Yeah, it will lose. In one day, it will lose 48 minutes, right? You're gonna lose 48 minutes. And the thing is that, if you wanna show if you wanna show this correct time, you're gonna lose how many minutes? If you want to show the correct time, you're gonna lose how many minutes? Guys, it's 12 hour. So it's 12-hour clock, right? So you have to use 12 hour times 6 minutes. It's like one turnover, right? One full term of the clock. So that'll be 720 minutes. If you use 720 minutes, it looks like the same, the correct time. It's just the full time. And guys, that is the time that you're gonna lose in one day. And if you want to show the correct time, again, you have to lose 720 minutes. So question, how many of this 48 do we have in 720? 720 divided by 48. Because one day you're gonna lose 48 minutes, right? If you want to show the correct time, you have to lose 720 minutes in total. Yes, you got 15. What does that 15 mean? So one day you're gonna lose 48, and 15 days later, you will lose 720 minutes, and that time you will show the correct time. Does it make sense? It's gonna be 15 days for the first clock. And now let's focus on the second clock. As for the second clock, every hour it's gonna gain 3 minutes. So guys, tell me, can anyone tell me one day it's gonna gain how many minutes? Someone, Kiki asked me, how did you get 12 times 16? Oh, because it's a 12-hour clock, and in each hour we have 60 minutes. That's why we have 12 times 60. Okay, so one day, you see, one day will be 24 hours, right? And each hour, you will gain 3 minutes. So one day you'll gain 24 times by 3, which is 72 minutes. That can be one day. Yes, Rick?
I was just going to say
Okay, good. And the same thing, the same question. If you want to show the correct time, you're going to gain how many minutes in total? That will be the same number. 12 hours times by 60 minutes is 720 minutes in total, right? Okay, question. Out of that 720, how many 72 minutes do you have? You have 10. That means after 10 days, the second clock will gain 720 minutes, and that way the second clock will show the correct time. Okay, question. For the first clock, every 15 days, it will show the correct time. And for the second clock, every 10 days, it will show the correct time. And the question is, after how many days this two clock will show the correct time at the same time? You need to find. Okay, go ahead. I got three person want to say this question. Just go ahead.
Is it 30 days?
Yes, it's 30 days. Basically, you need to find the lowest common multiple of 15 and 10. Yes, William?
I was going to say.
Okay, so how do you find the lowest common multiple, guys? You have to use this way. 15 divided by 5 and 10 divided by 5. So this one you got a 3, this one you got a 2. And then the lowest common multiple equals to lowest common multiple of 15 and 10 then equals to 5 times by 3 times by 2. That is 30. 30 days. And that's the final answer. So after 30 days, these two clocks will both show the correct time. Questions? Are we good? Guys, you know what? For this question, the scores rate of you is only 4.5%. It's really low. Did you get it now? Okay. And actually, so let's move on to this question. This one is definitely a hot one. It's really likely to make a mistake. So a carton is 3.2 meters long, 2.6 wide, and 1.5 high. How many boxes, each of size 30 times 40 times 50, can be packed in this carton and most? Okay, this is the last question of section B, and after that, it will go to section C. And the first thing you have to do is that you will find the units are not the same. You have to convert that into the same units. So this one will be 320 centimeters times 260 centimeters times 150 centimeters, right? I guess some of you will say that, okay, 150 is divisible 50. So if you divide by 50, you have 3 of that. You're gonna be 3 layers because it's the height, right? And then you will find that both numbers, 320 and 260, are not divisible by 30, but 320 is divisible by 40. So let's do this one divided by 40, you have 8. So maybe you have 8 rows. And how many columns do you have? You have to use 260 divided by 30. Someone would have, we know that 3 times by 6 equals 240, right? So someone would get the answer 3 times by 6. 8, sorry. Gonna be 8. 3 times 8 is 24, so that'll be 240. And then you get the answer 8 times 8 times by 3. But when you check the answer, you find that it's 208, right? It's not this number, but why? How did you get 208, guys? Does anyone know that? Because if you use 3 times by 30 times by 8 is 240. You got 20 white gonna be wasted. And the thing will be, guys, I'm gonna cut this 260 into 2 different numbers. I will cut that into 260. And that way, as for the whole thing, as for the whole box, I will have 2 of that rooms. The first one will be 320 times by 200 times by 150. That's the first room that we have. And then we have 320 times by 60 times by 150. So that's going to be the first room you have to use, and that will be the second one you need to use. The reason why I split that into 2 parts is that because now you will see they are all divisible now. Let's see. As for the size of each one, you got 30, 40, 50, right? And now you will see that 150 is divisible by 30. And out of that 150, how many 30 centimeters do we have? You have 5 of that. And out of that 200 centimeters, how many of 50 do we have? Now you will see that we just change the way we put that small box into it. So 200 divided by 50, you're gonna have 4 of that. And then 320 divided by 40, you will have 8 of that. And that way you're gonna wait. You don't wait any room here. So that will be 4 times by 5, which is 20 times by 8 is 160. Then you're gonna use the second one. And for the second one, you're gonna change the way you put it in. Because 320, it is divisible by 40. So 8 of that. And now for 60, you have to use that 60 divided by 30. Gonna be 2 columns, right? And then for 150, you use that divided by 50. That's gonna be 3 layers. So you times that, 2 times 8 will be 16. And then times by 3, you get the answer 48, right? And finally, you just add these 2 numbers together. 160 plus 48. You have this 208 boxes that you can put it in this carton. So 208, that's it. Any questions? Guys, let's give 3 stars to the question. Because for this one, you learned, sometime you will see that, it's not divisible. And that means you can cut the whole thing into two parts. And that way you're gonna get a better result. Guys, can you tap 1 to me if you understand the question? Okay, good. Now let's take a look at the question from section C. You got this symbol, and this symbol represents the mathematical rule. If you got A, guys, just one time. And now stop tapping anything. So if you got A and a symbol B, that means you find the units digit of the product of A times by B. So for this one, you'll see that if you got 7 times by 8, that'll be 56. And you just use the units digit, which is 6 here. And as for the second one, you have to do the calculation in the bracket first. So 3 times by 6 will be 18. So this whole part equals to 8. And 8 times by 5 is 40. So the unit digit will be 0. So that's why it equals to 0. And I think this question is pretty easy for you guys to solve. So for the first one, 3 times by 6 is 18, and you just use 8. And then for the second one, just be careful. So 6 times by 9 will be 54, so that equals to 4. 7 times by 4 will 28, so you choose 8. And then 4 times by 8 is 32, then the answer is 2. Question number C. 7 with the symbol n equals to 9. What is smallest possible value of n? Okay, so you just take a look at the times table of 7. So 7 times one number give you something 9, and the number should be as small as possible. And that is just 7 times 7 is 48, right? I mean 49, and then n equals to 7. This number over here. And now for the last one, guys, you just try it one by one. You just try it one by one. And for this one, 3 is an odd number, and you gotta say times a number and then times the number again. Guys, what I'm doing is that I'm gonna start with 1 and try it. So if x equals to 1, 3 times 1 is 3, or 3 times 1 is also 3. So it doesn't work. So let's do 2. 2 times 3 will be 6, and 6 times by 2 is 12, and that equals to 2, not 8. And can you do 3? 3 times by 3 will be 9. 9 times by 3 will be 27. It's 7, not 8. So you cannot have 7. Basically, guys, you'll find you can only do even numbers. Because if you times 3 odd numbers together, it must give you an odd number. It cannot be 8. So you can try 2, and then 4, and then 6. So let's try 4. Does that work? By 4. So 3 times by 4 will be 12. 12 times by 4 is 48. And that works, right? So the answer will be, you need to find the smallest possible value of x, and then x equals to 4. That's it. Yep. This one is much easier than the previous one. And then let's take a look at this question. You need to find the area of the right angle triangle. Pretty easy. 3 times by 4 and divide by 2, which gives you 6. And then question B, the diagram below shows a square, which is made up of 4 identical copies of the rectangle above, and a small unshaded square. What is the total area of the 4 identical rectangles? That'll be this number over here times by 4, which gives you 24 centimeters squared. And then what is the area of the unshaded small square? So as for the unshaded one, you will see that the length of this part equals to 4. And the length of this small leg, a shorter leg, you know that is 3, right? Because they are all identical. So 4 minus 3 got 1, means the set length of this unshaded square equals to 1, then the area of that shade, of that part is 1 square centimeters. Okay, that's 1. Now you can move on. So what is the area of the unshaded small squares? What is the area of unshaded small square? Oh, the question just repeat. So we have already get that, right? It's 1 centimeter squared. No, now what's next? The question is asking you, what is the area of the big square? You know that for the 4 shaded parts, the area equals to 24. And as for the unshaded part, you got the area which is 1. So for the whole thing, Cindy, Tom, I think you need to use the Pythagoras. Yes, that's right. But you never learned that, so that's why we have this question. We just gave you some proof of that step by step. So as for the area of the big square, that will be 24, the shaded part, plus the unshaded part, which is 25. So next question, what is the set length of the big square, which is also the missing side length of each of the right angle triangle? Guys, for this square, you know, the total area is 25, so the set length must be 5, because 5 times 5 equals to 25. All right, that's it. So just remember this process we have. 2 squared plus b squared is. Yes, we're gonna repeat this process we used for the first right angle triangle to get the length of the second one. So just remember, what is the area of this triangle? That equals to 5 times by 12 divided by 2, which is 30. Right, which is 30. And you have 4 of that. So 30 times by 4, which equals to 120. That will be the shaded area. And what's going to be the area of unshaded parts? You have to use this 12, take away this 5, which is 7. So as for the unshaded square, the set length equals to 7. And then the area equals to 7 times by 7, got 49. Now you will get the total area of this whole thing, of this big square that you got, which equals to 120 plus 49. That will be 169. And guys, can you tell me what number times itself equals to 169?
Is it
What number?
13?
Yes, that's right. It's 13. So you got the answer, 13 centimeters. That's it. And of course, in secondary school, you will learn this theorem to get that 13 directly, which is just the 5 squared plus 12 squared in the square root. That will be 13. And this is, as for this question, it's just one really classic way to prove that theorem. Okay, question number 33. Basically, for this one, we learned this question in lesson 3 in the short-term course of last week. Do you remember? The base 10, base 7 things. So Florence, what was answer for 32B? The answer for 32B is 24. It just is 6 times by 4 because you have 4 identical right angle triangles. So it just times by 4, that's it. Okay, let's take a look at this one. In base 10 arithmetic, a number written as 248 means that there are 204 tens and 8 ones like this. So in base 10, we use all the digits from from 0 to 9. You don't have a number larger than 10. And we can also write numbers in base 5, which means that instead of the columns representing hundreds, tens, and ones, they now represent 25, 5, and ones. So in base 5 arithmetic, only digits 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 are used. You cannot use a number larger than 5. For example, in base 5, number 2, 5, 2, 4, 8 represent 2 25s, 4 5s, and 8 ones. So if you want to convert a number from base 5 to base 10, as for the hundreds place, you have to use that times by 25. And then for tens place, you have to use that times by 5. And for the ones digit, it's just times by 1. Okay, question A. In the exam, it is wrong. Oh, yeah, you're right. It's 8. It's not 9. Okay, it's a mistake. But the thing you have to know is that as for this one, question number A, if you convert base 7 into base 10, as for the 6, it's in the hundreds place. You have times that of the 7 to the power of 2. It's not to the power of 3. It's 1 less than the digits number. Okay, you're gonna start with 7 to the power of 0, which is 1. So 6 times by 49, which is 7 squared, and then you plus 0 times 7 itself, and you plus 2 times 1. That's it, guys. Tell me, what's the answer?
296.
That's right, 296. Okay, let's move on to the second one. You need to convert the following numbers given in base 10 to base, from base 10 to base 2. Okay, question. If you get a base 2, guys, the thing will be you can only use the digits 1 and 0. Because when you do base 5, the range that you can use is from 0 to 4. And when you do base 2, the range is from 0 to 1. You cannot use number larger or equal to 2. So how can we do this? You need to find 2 squared equals to 4, right? 2 itself and 2 to the power 2 to the power of 0, that will be 1. Okay, and then you're going to start with the highest one. How many of 4 do we have in 5? We have only 1 of 4 in 5, right? So 5 then equals to 1 times by 4. If you do 1 times by 4, you have 1 left. So in that 1, you don't have a 2. So you plus 0 times by 2. And then you have 1 of 1. So that'd be 1 times by 1. That means if you convert 5 of base 10 into base 2, that will be 1, 0, and 1. So that's the answer, 1, 0, 1. Does this make sense? Cindy?
I'm a bit stuck on A and B.
A and B. So you mean question
Yeah.
A?
Yeah.
So as for question, do you know why we need to use 6 times by 49?
Yeah, because 49 is 7 squared.
And then you get 7 itself. Basically, if you're gonna 4 digits number, so you have to use this one. If that is in base 10, I mean base 7. So for the highest digit this time, you're gonna be use the highest digit times by 7 cubed, and then use this one times by 7 squared. Use this one times by 7. 1 to the power of 1 is just the 7 itself, and the last digit it will be 7 to the power of 0. That is 1, and you plus all
Okay.
them together.
Yeah, but I don't get why B is 101.
Because for B, you convert a number from base 10 to base 2. It's not from base 2 to base 10.
Yeah.
It's like, so I will show you. If I use 296 of base 10, you know that if I convert this one into base 7, 602, am I right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so this is base 10. But how can we convert this base 10 number into base 7? You will
Wait.
see that out of that 296, how many 49 do we have at the maximum?
296 divided by 49.
Mhm.
Wait. Is it
At most, how many of that do you have?
is it wait, 5? Wait, no. Is it 5?
Actually, it should be 6.
Oh yeah.
So 6 times by 9 equals to what number?
6 times by 9. 294.
Let's see. 6 times
Wait.
by 9 is
Yeah,
54,
290.
and it's gonna be 274, right?
Wait. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
wait,
then
yeah.
let's see, what's the remainder here? It's gonna be 22.
Yeah.
Is that 22?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. It's 294, not 274. You're right. It should be 294, right?
Wait, so the remainder is 2.
Yes, the remainder is 2. And so you're gonna, now you will have 6 of 49 in this 296. And out of the 2, you get a remainder 2. So do you have a 7 in 2?
No.
No. So let's see, 296 then equals to 6 times 49, right? Plus
Yeah.
how many times by 7?
6 times 49 and 0.
Yes, 0, because the remainder is 2. You don't have a 7. It's not enough to get one of the 7. So it's 0 of the 7. How many of 1 you have?
2.
2 of 1s, that's right.
Yeah.
2 of 1s. And now you will convert this base 10 number into base 7. That can be 602.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
602.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And now we're going to use the same method to convert 5 of base 10 into base 2. And
Yeah.
out of the 5, you see how many of 2 squared you have? You have 1 of that. And if you use 5 minus 4, you have only 1. So out of 1, you don't have a 2. So that's 0.
Wait.
And you have 1 of 1. And that's why you got 101. It's 1 at this place and 0 and 1. So the answer is
Okay.
101.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. And now let's take a look at the last one of the last question. So Thomas writes his age in base 3 and base 10. Okay. You need to add in a 0 at the end of his age, written in base 10, is the same as his age written in base 3. What is his age written in base 10? Okay, this is a hard one. And guess what I'm doing is that we know that we can set Tom's age as AB. As AB, how about that? And it says, if you add a 0 at the end of his age written in base 10, it's the same as his age in base 3. So if you got AB 0, that's going to be the age of Thomas written in base 3. Because it tells you that if you add a 0 at the end, it's going to be the number written in base 3. Make sense? AB 0. And if you got the number AB 0 in base 3, can anyone tell me how to convert that into base 10? How to convert that into base 10? You have to use A times by what? Plus B times by what? And plus 0 times by what? Yes, David?
Would you do A times by 27 plus B times by, no, wait, no.
Is that A times by 27 or times by 9?
Times by 9.
Yeah, it's times
So-
by 9 and times by 3 and times by 1.
Yeah.
And let's see what you got. You got a 9A plus 3B and plus 0, so we don't need to care about that. So it's just 9A plus 3B. And that equals to what? That equals to, so it's going to be base 10 number, right? If you convert that into base 10, and that base 10 is just AB, right? So how do you how do you see that? So it's, let's say if A is 2 and B is 1 is 21. So basically that equals to A times by 10 and B times by 1, right? Because B is the unit digit and A is the 10th digit. So it's 10A plus 1B. And this is what you got. 9A plus 3B equals 10A plus 1B. Can anyone help me to simplify that? If you got a 9A plus 3B equals 10A plus 1B. Yes, Kiki?
Does it mean that it's A equals to 2B?
Yeah, that's right. A equals to 2B. And question, guys, if you write, okay, listen carefully. If you write a number in base 3, how many digits can you use? You can only use 0, 1, and 2, am I right? You don't use 3. You can only use 0, 1, 2. And now that means for AB, you're gonna choose from 0, 1, 2. And you have to meet the requirements. A equals to 2B, right? So can you tell me A equals to what number and B equals to what number? You can only choose from 0, 1, and 2. And you have to get a requirement. A equals to 2B. So A must be what and B must be what? A must be 2 and B must be 1. That's right. So A equals to 2 and B equals to 1. You have no other choices because it should be from 0 to 2. It's in base 3. And then what's the age of Thomas? The age of Thomas is AB in base 10, right? So that will be 21, guys. It's not 23, it's 21, it's AB. It's 21. So Thomas is 21 years old today, this year. And guys, we can check that. We can definitely check that. Is that correct? So it tells you that if you add 0 at the end of his age written in base 10. So 21 is the age based in 21 is the age in base 10, right? So if you add 1 0, so it'll be 2 1 0, and that is in base 3. So if you convert that into base 10, what do you get? You use 2 times by 9 plus 1 times by 3 and plus 0 times 1. So what's that number? Is that 21? 2 times by 9 is 18 plus 3 is 21. That's right. Yep. They're gonna meet the requirements. If you got a base 10, which is 21, and you add 1 0, it's 2 1 0, and that is base 3, and you convert that into base 10, it's just 21. Guys, does it make sense to you? Can you tap one to me if you understand the question? Okay, very good. And actually, this one is a little bit hard for you, this question. But if you can understand that, that will be very good. So question number 34, how many ways are there to choose three numbers from 1 to 8 without any consecutive numbers? What does it mean by consecutive? So if you got a number which is only one larger or one smaller than the another one, that is consecutive. But we don't want any consecutive numbers. So guys, how to solve this one? We're gonna start with 1, guys. So far, the way you can use is called enumeration. You just list all the possible numbers and try to find the patterns when you list them. So you don't have a 1, 2, right? So you're gonna have 1, 3, and then you don't have a 5. You don't have a 4. So what you can choose is from 5 to 8. You can have 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 6, 1, 3, 7, and 1, 3, 8. They all works. Yep. Who is raising your hand? Yes, Rick.
I'm kind of confused because when they say consecutive numbers, does that mean like you can't do 1, 2, 6, but then can you do like 1, 6, 2?
No, you cannot do 1, 6, 2, 1, 6, 2. That is because it says you only choose 3 numbers. It's not like you list them together. It choose. If you do 1, 6, 2, 2, you just choose 2, and 1 and 6. 1 and 2 cannot be chosen at the same time. So 1, 6, 2, or say 6, 2, 1. You cannot choose that. Make sense? So for this one, the order really doesn't matter. The number you choose does matter. Okay, so you cannot have one like 1, 6, 2, 1, 6, 1, 6, 2. It's not a lot. But let's see, if you do 1, 3, yes, who is asking questions? Go ahead. Nope. Okay, so 1, 3, and from 5 to 9, that all of that gonna work, right? So how many different ways do you have? You can choose 1, 3, and then choose from 5 to 8. All of that works. So from 5 to 8, you will have 4 different ways. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 4, right? Gonna be 4 ways. And we are done with 1, 3. So let's do 1, 4. If you do 1, 4, 5, as for 5, we cannot choose that. So it's gonna be 6 to 8. So 1, 4, 6, 1, 4, 7, 1, 4, 8. All of them were gonna work for us. So will be 3 of that. And then you have 1, 5. So after 1, 5, you don't have a 6. So 1, 5, 7, 2, 8. No, only 2. Yes, Jing Nong.
Can you repeat the same number?
You cannot repeat the same number because it says, just read the question again carefully. So how many ways are there to choose 3 numbers from 1 to 8? It's like you got 8 cards, right? You got 8 cards. Of course, you cannot repeat numbers. And let's do one more. If you start with 1 again, so it can be 1, 6. And this way you don't have a 7 because 7 and 6 is gonna be consecutive. So only one way. 1, 6, 8. Guys, do you find the pattern? 4, 3, 2, 1. Do you find the pattern now? And that means if you start with 2, you cannot have a 3, right? So it'll be 2, 4. And then you're gonna start with 6 to 8. And that will be how many different ways? 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 7, 2, 4, 8, 3 ways. And now 2, 5, 7 to 8, 2, 6, sorry. to 6, and you don't have a 7, right? Only 8. 2 ways, 1 way. Does anyone find a pattern here? If you start with 1, you have 2, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you start with 2, you have 3, 2, 1. How about 1, 5, 3? 1, 5, 3 is at this place. 1, 3, 5 is the same as 1, 5, 3. And now if you start with 3, that'll be 2 and 1 ways. Because you have already considered all the possible combinations contains 1, so you don't need to consider 1. So you can only consider larger number. So after 3, you can have a 5, and that will be 7, 8, and 3, 6, and you have only 8. So that'll be 2 way and 1 way. And if you go to 4, you can have a 5, it's only 6. And after 6, you cannot have a 7, it's only 8. So 4, 6, 8 is only 1 way. And guess the pattern will be 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 2, 1, and 1. And you add all the different combinations together, you will get a final answer how many different ways you have. Right? So we know that 4, 3, 2, 1 add up to 10, 3, 2, 1 add up to 6, 2, 1 add up to 3, and only 1. So 6, 3, and 1 add up to 10. And then the final answer will be 10 plus 10. You have 20 different ways to choose that 3 numbers. Questions, guys? Are we all good? Would you like to type number 1 to me? Do you understand the question? Very good. So let's go to the last question today. Let's take a look at the last question today. So for this one, you have to use some logistic. So on one international train, there are 4 passengers, A, B, C, and D. With 4 different nationalities, they wear yellow, white, gray, and brown coats and sit on both sides of a table with 2 passengers on each side. So the way that I'm going to use to solve such kind of question is that I will draw a table. This is the table that we have. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4 places, 4 seats. And these 2, they are facing with each other, right? Facing to each other. So if you stand at this row, this will be the left one. This will be the right one. But if you stand at this place, because they're facing each other, so this guy will sit on the left. Okay. Just imagine that you sit at this place. Of course, you sit on the left, and this guy is on the right. That will be the 4 seats that we have. And now we can try to solve the question one by one using these clues. So from first one, it says the British passengers sit on the left side of B. And actually, it doesn't matter if you choose, because we know that the British passenger will sit on the left side, right? So you could either choose this one or this one. It doesn't make any difference. Okay, so you can choose whichever you like. So we can choose the British at this place. Then you know that the British passenger sit on the left side of B. So this one will be B. This is B. And now we use the first clue. And then it tells you that A wears a brown coat. So as for A, it's going to be a brown. And actually, for this one, you can get 1 point. Because if you take a look at the table, it asks you about the color of coats of A, B, C, D, right? And B to tell you that for A, wears a brown coat directly. So you can write down B here. B represented by brown. Okay, so it will be B. And then let's continue. The person in white coat sits on the right side of the German passenger. So you see that if we choose this position for British, and on the right side, you could either have B or have this one, but it tells you that the person in white coat sits on the right side of a German passenger. It's not a British passenger, right? So as for German, you have only one choice. It should be at this place. This is German. Because German and British, they cannot share a same seat, okay? So German will be at this place, and that means the person at this place wears a white coat. This will be white for this person. Now we can continue. It says American passenger is sitting opposite D. But so far, you got no idea about A, B, D. I mean, A, C, D. You only know B is at this place. That means you don't know that is that American passenger sitting opposite opposite British or opposite say German. Yep. Because now you know that German could be D or British could be D, or this one could be D. But if you take a look at the last one, it says the Russia passenger wears a gray coat. So what can be the Russia? Because A wears a brown. A wears a brown. And British, you don't know the color. And for the German, do you know the color? You don't know the color. And which one should be the Russia? Guys, Russia must be which one? You have only two positions for Russia to choose, right? And as for this one, let me use another color. And for this purple one, the color of the coat is white. And for B, it's not determined. And you know, for another two places, it's British and German, right? That means this B must be Russia. Because this, let me use another color. You see, you'll have only two seats for Russia, right? As for the purple star, you already know that that one wears a white coat. And for the blue star, that man, you don't know that person, you don't know the color of the passenger. So that will be the place for Russia. Russian, and this one will be American. And now basically you can determine, it says American passenger is sitting opposite D, so British will be D. And because it says A wears a brown, so German will be A, right? Because American wears a white, so that cannot be A. So German will be A and American will be C. Now we can solve all of that because it says A wears a brown, so this will be brown. You have only one color, which is yellow one. So for British, that will be yellow. That's it, guys. We can filling out this table. For A, where's A? German is A, so this one is German, and the color of A is brown. And then for sitting B, that will be Russia. So R, and what's the color for Russia? Russia wears a gray coat, so right, that is gray. So you have to use this gray. And then for C, you'll see that is American. And the color of coat is white. And as for D, that is British, and color of the British is yellow. That's it. Then you solve all of the question. And basically, that's all for today. Guys, do you have any questions? Are we all good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the last
Yes.
question is pretty
Yes.
interesting. If you don't know how to solve that at the beginning, I suggest you to solve that again by yourself after this session, because it's really interesting. So guys, see you next time. That's all.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I'm going
Bye.
to stop sharing.
Bye.
Bye.
See you.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.